Alright, so this is the wood stove that I built in the last 2 days. Started with a propane tank that had a lot of tubing running in and out of it, of various sizes and contraptions, all doing all sorts of interesting things in this area. So it made sense for me to just remove this whole piece. I wasn't going to be able to make it into a musical instrument as I normally would do with a propane tank. So I decided to make it into a wood stove, which is another thing that I needed and wanted to have. I also make carbon. It's called biochar, and it's meant for going into gardens and things. If you look around here, there is gardens all over the place. Those two contraptions over there are biochar kilns, and they make about 30 to 50 pounds of biochar in a couple of hours. And this kiln here, it's also a wood stove, and I intend for it to be able to make biochar and be a wood stove that you can use inside your house at the same time. So right now, it's a dark cave in there. Let's lift this up a little bit, see if we can see inside. So you see that this is a plate here, and there's a lip underneath, and there's airflow that can get in through there. And then there's those 3 tines back there that are, ever so precisely spaced to hold this magic tray, this fire grate. And then this up here is a baffle. I want to call it a baffle. It covers the intake for the intake for the exhaust. And it makes it so that way some of the exhaust gets channeled right around the roof of the tank. Takes a lot of the heat and uses it to reheat and refire the wood that is sitting in here. So I will put this grate in. It very carefully fits in here. This is what I spent most of the time making yesterday. I can't see what I'm doing, so trying to hold the camera while you can't see what you're doing, but it does fit in here quite nicely. Alright. I got it in place. It does drop in just a little bit more, but it's essentially in place there. So we'll look inside. So we have a fire grate, and I put the wood right in there, and essentially there's this airspace below that just all this oxygen can come in right underneath it the whole way back. And I may have to play around with that a little bit as to how it behaves, but it worked really good the last time too, because all that oxygen gets consumed right away. And you get a flame front that exists right about at this depth, and it moves back and forth just a little bit, and it cooks this tube, which is connected to this exhaust. So this tube here, there was an open area there that I built this plate on top of. I can put a teapot or something, and I'm going to put another plate here to help transfer with heat and to use that energy more efficiently. But anyway, this exhaust tube comes all the way to right about here. If I'm paying attention with the camera at the same time, I'm doing 3 different things at once. So, and if I put this together, there's a little bit of an air intake there, and likewise, besides the fire that comes from, besides the exhaust gases, there's a little bit of fresh air that comes because of this baffle that I put right here. So that makes sure that not too much smoke ever exits the front face, which it does a really good job of keeping the smoke inside and making sure that it burns all the smoke right now as it is. Although it is going to get a door, just so you can slow the reaction down and not make so much heat, because I ran this and it made so much heat. It was going to melt itself if I ran it at that speed all the time. So I also have this tube here. So there's air intake there, and then since this isn't sealed, it's going to take a little bit more air right there when I'm wagging my finger around. And there's this little guard that slows some of that down, makes it so there isn't a draft, and also keeps any of it from exhausting. I haven't had any noticeable exits there. And then out the top of the stack, I get a nice clean smoke. So I'm thinking, I'll look at the time here. I might be able to run it again one more time. I'd really like to run it with the new grate in place and see how that works. But I did run it yesterday, and there is another video for that. I made this video specifically for the beaver bar camp, so I'll get back to camp, guys. It's you know, 3 o'clock or so I'll run back over and catch the next presentation. See you there.